Khammagadi, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to our webinar on promoting exports from Rajasthan. In order to promote exports at the state level, Exim Bank has been engaging with the state governments to evaluate the export performance and potential. Exim Bank of India, in partnership with the state governments, also outlines strategy for development of trade competitiveness at the state level. This webinar is being organized in partnership with the government under this initiative. The webinar will be covering export potential of Rajasthan, programs of India Exim Bank for trade facilitation, and an interactive session with our guests. We are honored to have with us the following esteemed guests from the government of Rajasthan. Shri Sanjeev Saxena, Assistant Industries Commissioner, Government of Rajasthan, and Shri P.R. Sharma, Joint Director Industries, Government of Rajasthan, and Chief Executive Officer, Rajasthan Export Promotion Council. Before we begin, I would like to inform all of you that you are on a listen-only mode and you can type your questions in the questions tab, and our speakers will address to them in the Q&A session. I would now like to invite our Deputy Managing Director, Shri N. Ramesh, to deliver the welcome remarks to our audience.
Thank you, Kunal. Good afternoon. Welcome to India Exim Bank's webinar on promoting exports from Rajasthan. Today we have with us Ms. Archana Singh, Commissioner, Government of Rajasthan. Today we have with us Ms. Archana Singh, Commissioner, Government of Rajasthan. Mr. Sanjeev Saxena, Additional Industries Commissioner. Mr. P.R. Sharma, Joint Director, Department of Industries and CEO of Rajasthan Export Promotion Council. All the distinguished participants, colleagues from Exim India Bank, ladies and gentlemen, I extend very warm welcome to all of you to this virtual interactive session focusing on promoting exports from Rajasthan. I'm really happy to see quite a good number of participants attending this particular webinar, which is a reflection of interest and enthusiasm of the companies from the state in showing their interest in increasing exports and their internationalization efforts. This webinar, as you are aware, and participating through a virtual medium is in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, and it has shown us the strength and vulnerabilities and has given an opportunity to be resilient about such pandemic occurrences or such unforeseen events. This is also a time to recollect and focus on strengthening the institutions and diversifying our activities so as to increase our exports and our capabilities. In this particular time, the Government of India had been very focused on the policies of Atmanirbhar Bharat and local to vocal. These have been the mainstay of the Government of India policies, which is having the international trade as a focal point. Now, there is a requirement for having a collective effort at all levels of governance. It's just not at Government of India level. The India being a federal structure, it is all the more important that the state governments, the district administrations are also involved in this particular effort to achieve the objective of Atmanirbharta and then vocal for local efforts. Now, you are quite well aware the Government of India has, according to the Constitution, say on the governance part, foreign trade related matters and all, whereas the jurisdiction of state level extends to the production of goods and services and trade facilitation. So without state government involvement, the increase in exports cannot be exported to the desired level. So recognizing this particular aspect and the intervention of states required for export promotion, India Exim Bank has been periodically undertaking state level research studies. We have done for quite a number of states. We have also been organizing a lot of seminars and webinars along with our state government, different state governments, wherein we are discussing the challenges faced by exporters, what strategies can be adopted to increase export from these particular states. Towards this effect, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with Government of Rajasthan to facilitate promotion of exports from the state. Now, we also undertook a comprehensive study on export performance and potential from Rajasthan, wherein we recommended a focused strategy for increasing export competitiveness and how to increase export on a higher level. Most of these recommendations made in this study have been pursued by Government of Rajasthan. Some are already implemented. Now, this webinar is also going to act in that direction, and then the outcome would be useful in Government of Rajasthan to further crystallize the action points. As you are well aware, Rajasthan is a key contributor to India's economic and output and exports. As per Niti Aayog, Rajasthan is the best performing states among the landlocked states. It is the 13th largest exporting state in India, having a wide range of exports with respect to the destination as well as the composition of exports. Exports also has shown a good increase. To put a number, a CAGR of 6.1% was observed in the last 4 years, from 15-16 to 19-20. This is definitely much higher than the overall growth in India's merchandise exports, which was only at 4.6%. Of course, the major items from Rajasthan are gems and jewelry, furniture, man-made fibers, granite, natural stones and products, and cotton and others. As you may see, there are these are the most of the natural resources which are being value added and exported from Rajasthan. And further, Rajasthan is not only an important player in the merchandise export, it is also a preferred destination for a range of tourism services, and is the first name brand recall with respect to foreign tourists when they visit India. Government of Rajasthan has also been doing a lot of efforts to promote agri-tourism to a lot of tourists, domestic and international tourists, to provide a hands-on farming experience. Government of Rajasthan has also done quite a good amount of work and put in a policy framework for development of ESDM, IT and ITES industries. We expect there is going to be a lot of growth coming in this particular sectors. Now, Rajasthan is doing good, but there is a lot more to do also. There is a lot of untapped potential for exports. We estimate it as about 2.1%, 2.18% of India's export is from the state, whereas the GDP contribution to whole of India is around 7%. So there exists a gap, particularly on this front. And then the unrealized export potential, we estimate it around $4.9 billion. The current exports are around in the range of $6.6 billion. So it can potentially go up to $11.5 billion. I hope there will be some strategy emerging out of this particular webinar and then show us more way forward to achieve this particular target. Now, we at India Exim Bank have doing a lot of efforts to create an enabling environment for exports in the country. We as a bank and the Export Credit Agency are involved in macro level policy changes, providing specific intervention to support businesses to realize their globalization efforts. Now, these efforts are not only limited to the international part of it. The domestic market interventions are made through association through the important stakeholders like the state government. We have few of the flagship programs on the international front, mainly on lines of credit and buyer's credit under NEIA program, which are designed to offer medium to long-term export credit. Many Indian companies have utilized the opportunities available under these particular schemes and have made their presence in most of the African countries and the South and Southeast Asian countries. Apart from that, we are also a major player in corporate lending, and Specifically in Rajasthan, we have around a client base of around 25 companies with an asset of around 2,700 crore. We are providing financial solutions to export-oriented units on various fronts: working capital expenditure, pre-shipment, post-shipment, and more importantly, our unique product of overseas investment funding. These are provided to a range of industries, including textiles and garment, engineering goods, paper and paper products, pharma, ferrometal, agro, and food processing, of course, and to petroleum products. In fact, my colleague Shukmar would be explaining in great detail what are the different programs in offered by India Exim Bank and how the exporters from Rajasthan can benefit from these particular programs. The increase in exports to achieve a higher growth trajectory basically depends on a tripod of policy interventions, private investments, and enabling institutions. So the government of Rajasthan is committed to this export promotion agenda. We are witnessing that part as the participation from Department of Industries is being made in this particular webinar. The commissioner, the additional commissioner, and then the CEO, Rajasthan Export Promotion Council are also available with us today. Not taking much time, I sincerely hope that our efforts in creating awareness about opportunities to promote exports from Rajasthan and the discourse which is going to happen in this particular webinar will provide us a roadmap for boosting exports from the states. I once again extend a very warm welcome to our guests and participants in this webinar.
I now request Mr. Prahlatan Iyer, Chief General Manager, Research and Analysis, India Exim Bank, to give us an overview of the potential of exports from Rajasthan. Over to you, sir.
Okay, so this is a brief presentation on potential for exports, enhancing exports from Rajasthan. We did a study some time back for the government of Rajasthan, and we made several recommendations for the government of Rajasthan for enhancing exports from the state. A part of it is weaved into this presentation with an updated data. The flow of the presentation is to give a brief economic scenario and what is the current export scenario, and the select focus areas for augmenting the exports from Rajasthan. So this will be the structure of the presentation. Just to start with, the brief economic scenario is given below. In the last 1 decade, services sector has been contributing significantly to the gross state value added and contributed to about 10 percentage point increase in the services sector contribution. This sector, that is services sector, this account for nearly 50% of Rajasthan's gross value added. Some of the important subsectors are trade and repair services, transportation services, communication services, and hotels and restaurants. All these, if you look at it, these are having the base of tourism and handicrafts. So that is how most of these subsectors of the services have also been emerging. Agriculture and allied activities is also another important, if you look at it, the structure of the gross state value added, about 32% belongs to the primary sector, 20% to the secondary sector, and about 47% as the tertiary sector. Within the agriculture and allied sectors, the crops and livestock are the two key subsectors. Under the industries, that is the secondary sector, manufacturing and construction industries are the two key subsectors. What are the advantages of Rajasthan? One is it has a strong growth and development. This is supported by the services and also the manufacturing industries, which is driving the economic growth. As we have seen earlier, the GSP registered the state domestic product. It had a CAGR of about 11% in the last 1 decade. Second is it has a favorable location and also enriched with rich resources. It's considered to be the richest state in terms of availability and production of minerals. Then it has been accommodating 9 agroclimatic zones, and also the soil has several types, and that has the potential for organic and contractual farming. The third advantage Rajasthan has is the adequate labor pool, and which will be leveraged by the new labor laws which have been passed in the Rajasthan Assembly. The strong institutional network and renowned higher educational institutions is also there in the state of Rajasthan, and that caters to the various disciplines in which the economy is very strong. These institutions also create vast pool of educated workforce. The fourth pillar and advantage for the Rajasthan government is the policy and infrastructure support. There are sector-specific policies announced by the government for supporting the tourism, biotechnology sector, IT and ITS industries. There are also well-developed social, physical and industrial infrastructure by way of industrial estates and parks. If we look at the right-hand side of this slide, you find that in terms of area, the state accounts for about 10.4% in the India's total area. So it is geographically fourth, one of the largest states in India. Population-wise, it accounts for about 5.7% of India's population. It is the 8th most populous state. In terms of output, that is state domestic product, it accounts for about 7% of GDP, India's GDP. However, when we come to the merchandise exports, none of these are factored into, and it accounts for only about 2.18% of India's total. So that shows that how much untapped potential is existing in this state. The low share in the manufacturing exports, despite a high share in area, population, and output, and also having the 4 pillars advantage, still the Rajasthan's export is only 2.18% of India's total. So we need to do significantly to enhance Rajasthan's exports. Okay, let us see the Rajasthan's export scenario. The merchandise exports, if you look at it, it's about 6.64 billion in the year 2019-20. The share of merchandise exports of Rajasthan in India's total exports is around 2%. It has peaked in the year 2017-18 to 2.29%, but now it is about 2.12%. We have seen earlier in terms of the size or the economy or the output, Rajasthan is having significant share in India's either GDP or the area or population, but in terms of exports, it's not representing the real true picture. Like India, Rajasthan also has had a V-shaped recovery, and in fact, the decline in exports for the whole of this year, that is December 2020-21. The decline in the Rajasthan's exports was only 8%, that is -8%, as compared to India's 15.7%. So it shows that Rajasthan has recovered faster than all India average. So these are the major 10 commodities in Rajasthan's merchandise exports. These 10 products account for about 60% of the state's total merchandise exports. Gems and jewelry, which account for about 11%, furniture, again another 11%, machinery, mechanical appliances, 6%, man-made staple fiber, about 6%. So these are the kind of exports which are being done by the state of Rajasthan. The concentration of export basket, that is the top 10 commodities accounting for about 60%, shows that the state need to diversify. It is significantly diversified, but more diversification is again required for the state to explore new untapped areas that have potential. In terms of export destinations, again, USA is a single market with about 23%. followed by UK 5%, Germany 4%, UAE 3%. So this shows that again the top 10 destinations account for more than 60% of exports from the state. That also shows that we could significantly diversify into newer geographies. For example, Africa not significantly present, or the Latin America is not significantly present. If we look at the Southeast Asia, you find that probably Thailand is there or Vietnam is there. Among Southern Asian countries also, you find only Nepal and Bangladesh is there. So more penetration is required, some of the Southeast Asian nations, and also Africa and Latin America, which are unexplored by Rajasthan so far. If we look at it, the state in terms of tourism, it ranks at 6th position in foreign tourist visits in the year 2019, for which the latest data is available publicly. It accounts for about 5.1% in India's total foreign tourist visits, and it had witnessed a CAGR of about 2.6% in the last 1 decade. What are the focus areas for augmenting exports from Rajasthan? If you see this pictorial presentation, the merchandise exports as a percentage of state domestic product, it's about, we have mapped only the landlocked states. The complaisant is that Madhya Pradesh is lower than Rajasthan, but if you look at other states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, you find that they are all significantly above than the Rajasthan's percentage of about 4.6%. So that shows that it is not commensurate to its share in the GDP area and also population of the country, which we have seen earlier. This also shows that the state has untapped potential to expand its exports. We have done this exercise when we did the analysis for the government of Rajasthan in our study, and this more kind of an updated analysis which we have done. We found that the Rajasthan state has an untapped merchandise export potential of about 4.9 billion. So cumulatively, if you add these together, little over than 11 billion, or approximately 11 to 12 billion should be the exports from the state. However, it has not been the case. We mapped some of the products also, like in the 4 categories we have identified product champions and underachievers. That is the 2 focus areas that could be done. The product champions based on the competitive exports, and also the import demand in the world is also growing. And underachievers, exports are not competitive, but there has been a growing import demand. This we have done granular analysis. This is the kind of output which we got. The key product champions which are given here, like the bold which we have highlighted. These are the products, like the number of products are high and the export value could also be enhanced significantly, like machinery, mechanical appliances and parts. About 32 HS 6-digit level products have been identified. Then salt, sulfur, earths and stones, some of the mineral items. Then articles of apparel and clothing accessories not knitted or crocheted. Electrical machinery and equipments and parts, and organic chemicals. So these we have highlighted, and the product champions, these account for about 65.1% of Rajasthan exports. That is how it has appeared as the product champions here. But in this segment, we also have significant potential in high value-added exports, which need to be tapped by the state. These are some of the sectors which we have identified as underachievers. As we have shown earlier, the competitiveness is not there for the state, but the import demand in the world has been significant for these products. So we need to look at these products like machinery and mechanical appliances, optical, photographic, medical instruments, articles of iron and steel, something like about 1700 products at 6-digit level we have identified, and these products we need to build domestic manufacturing capacities through appropriate incentive framework and also policy framework, and thus that we could tap this latent potential that exists in these sectors. So some of the select strategies for augmenting exports, we need to target high value products within these sectors, especially the chemicals and allied product segment. We need to diversify towards agrochemicals, dyes and pigments, textile chemicals, personal care ingredients and construction chemicals. In the gems and jewelry segment, we have identified that there need to be an establishment of design development center to support high value added and diversification in this sector. Quality infrastructure, tourism infrastructure is very much in the state, especially tourist institutes of Rajasthan, that will be critical for improving the tourism revenues in the state. Despite having very attractive tourist destinations, it is ranking at the 6th position in the country. We need to also target new avenues such as adventure tourism, rural and ecotourism, and other categories. Some of the states are doing, I think Rajasthan is also doing to some extent. We need to do this village or ecotourism kind of, or even adventure tourism to attract more tourist arrivals. Handicrafts is one of the major areas of exports in the state. So we need to provide artisans with the access to online opportunities. Now the e-commerce draft policy is being put up on the website. So that is likely to provide a lot of business to the artisans in the wherever the state is having significant exposure, like the gems and jewelry or the handicrafts, carpets. These need to be tapped completely. India Exim Bank's engagement with the government of Rajasthan, our DMD has already highlighted about this. We have signed an MOU with the state government in 2017. Subsequent to that, we had prepared this study, which was accepted. We published this report, and the government also endorsed the recommendations, and many of the recommendations given by us have been already implemented, and some of them are underway. So this is the quick presentation. If there are any questions, I can take up in the end of the question and answer session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for an insightful presentation. May I now request Mr. Sivakumar, General Manager, Business Development Group, to share with us a brief presentation on the programs of India Exim Bank.
Yeah, very good afternoon. I'm very happy to be part of this webinar on promoting exports from Rajasthan. I'll be making a presentation on India Exim Bank's financing programs. To just give a brief about India Exim Bank was set up in March 1981 under an Act of Parliament to finance, facilitate and promote India's international trade and investment. We are wholly owned by Government of India. We commenced operations in March 1982. We are almost completing 40 years of operations. We have overseas offices across the world. We have 9 overseas offices, including a branch in London. We have domestic offices in India in 10 locations, and our head office is in Mumbai. Through various products such as lines of credit, project exports, buyer's credit, marketing advisory services, OIF, working capital and direct equity investment, we are present in around 100 plus countries across various continents. Exim Bank offers products for imports, product development, production, marketing, pre-shipment, post-shipment, and finally investment abroad. Over the years, Exim Bank's approach has moved from product-centric to customer-centric. And Exim Bank's moved from export credits to export capability creation and to offer a complex range of products and services covering all stages of the export business cycle. Through this, Exim Bank has achieved leadership and expertise in transition of Indian companies. Exim Bank's programs can be broadly categorized into export finance and export capability creation. And export finance, we have few products lines of credit as well as construction financing scheme, which we'll see in subsequent slide. Buyer's credit and a national export insurance account, which again we'll see in subsequent slides. Project exports, we'll discuss in subsequent slide. And guarantees LCs for all these programs. Under export capability creation, we have programs for term loans. Under program term loans, we have EOU and PFP, which again we'll see in subsequent slides. Working capital for short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Product development, export facilitation, overseas investment finance, which again we'll see in subsequent slide, and R&D finance. Let us see some of the key lending programs. Lines of credit is one of the Exim Bank's niche program, wherein Exim Bank offers lines of credit to overseas governments for import of products on long-term credit. India Exim Bank has about 260 lines of credit covering about 64 countries with credit commitments over USD 25 billion. During last year, 27 LOCs aggregating to about USD 3.4 billion were extended. The total outstanding under LOCs as on March last year aggregates to US dollar 5.7 billion, and we have been growing at a growth rate of more than 18% for last 10 years. And this business constitutes more than 40% of the bank's total loan portfolio, vis-a-vis about 25% in about 10 years back. Countries where India Exim Bank extended LOCs during last year includes Government of Bangladesh, Burundi, Cuba, Ghana, Guinea, Mongolia, Sierra Leone, Suriname, and Zimbabwe. Some of the projects where Exim Bank is supported under lines of credit are water project in Malawi, IT and biotech park in Cote d'Ivoire, and project for SME development in Kenya. Under construction financing, Exim Bank offers construction finance scheme to Indian companies who participate in international bids and where the projects are considered to be strategic. The strategic importance of the project to deserve financing under the scheme would be decided on a case-to-case basis by an empowered committee of Government of India. Exim Bank has done one project in a construction scheme, which is a huge project, 2 numbers of 660 megawatt Maitri Superpower thermal power project in Bangladesh. Under buy credit and national export insurance account, bank offers buyer's credit to governments, parastatal authorities for import of projects on medium to long-term deferred credit. Bank has till date sanctioned aggregate amount of $2.6 billion for 30 projects, valued at around $2.9 billion up to last year. More than this, in fact, in terms of in principal commitments, Exim Bank has given about $3.53 billion of commitments to cover 28 projects at the base of several leading Indian project exports. If you look at last year, we've done about $350 million was during this year. Some of the projects which has been supported under National Export Account includes a transmission project in Zambia, supply of vehicles in Senegal, again a transmission line in Mauritania, and a railway line under Ghana. Both these projects, both NEA and lines of credit as well as CFS, under considered to be policy business for the bank. Under commercial for projects which is executed outside India, which is project export, Exim Bank offers fund and non-fund based, covering construction, civil, turnkey, supply contracts. As on March last year, 38 projects valued at around more than 20,000 crores were supported by India Exim Bank in 23 countries across various continents in 18 countries by 18 Indian companies. Predominantly, unlike the other 3 products, this will be predominantly distributed across the countries. Some of the projects where India Exim Bank has supported the project exports includes solar project in Egypt, a port and industry development in Guinea, a hotel project in Sierra Leone, and a refinery project in Nigeria. In the last finance bill, Honorable Finance Minister introduced, India Exim Bank introduced a new finance program announced by Honorable Finance Minister called Amrita Sitare. It resides on creating international champions in India, foster globally competitive small business and job creation. Here we identify and nurture companies having differentiated technology, products or processes, and assist firms with export potential which are unable to scale up otherwise their operations for want of finance. We mitigate the challenges faced by such successful companies which hinder their exports, support existing exporters to widen their basket of products and target new markets, enable companies to mount strategic export marketing plan, and provide finance and extensive handholding support. Which companies are eligible? Companies with unique value proposition, be it technology, be it products or process that are matching with global requirements. Companies should be fundamentally strong with acceptable financials and outward orientation. They may not be doing large exports now, but as exports potential is there. Good business model, strong management capabilities, focusing on product quality. Small and mid-sized company which have the hunger to grow. Coming to the traditional programs, Export Unit, where India Exim Bank can support Indian companies, both for export of products and services. Finance is extended not only to companies in manufacturing, but also for services. Financing is given in Indian rupees, dollar, or other international currencies which are available with India Exim Bank. Repayment in tenor can be structured suitably based on the cash flows, but usually does not exceed 10 years. A minimum promoter's contribution of 20% is generally stipulated. Under this, we have financed some companies from Rajasthan. We have financed RSWM in Belwara, Rajasthan, where we given loans both under EOU as well as for meeting the long-term working capital requirements. We financed Genie International under export-oriented units for expansion of their project. We also financed BSC Limited in Bilwara, an EOI loan for expansion of their capacity. We also financed Sudiva Spinners in Bilwara, again to expand their capacities. Under production equipment finance as well as import finance, the previous loan was for a project, but instead of a project, they want to import only a particular equipment or import an plant and machinery or raw material. We give this loan, production finance program, import finance program. This is basically to debottlenecking to increase the capacity. Loans can be extended in Indian rupees, dollar, as well as other international currencies. Repayment again can be structured based on the cash flow, but usually does not exceed 7 years. Unlike the project, the promoter's contribution will be slightly reduced, but minimum of 10% is expected. Some of the projects which were supported under PFP program includes the capacity expansion program for HECL, which manufactures agrochemicals and pharmaceutical ingredients. Balco, again for CapEx. And overseas investment finance, which is again a niche program for Exim Bank. India Exim Bank encourages Indian companies to invest abroad. The investment can be for multiple reasons, either to be closer to the market or closer to the raw material or acquisition of a particular brand, technology, etc. In the last few years, we have seen not only mid-sized companies, but even relatively small companies also go and acquire. Financing for overseas investments can be done at both India level as well as overseas level. At India level, we can give loans to Indian companies for investment in the equity as well as Indian company on lending to overseas venture. It could be a wholly owned subsidiary or a step-down subsidiary as well as a joint venture. Term loans can also be given directly to overseas venture. It could be for asset acquisition, working capital, or further equity investment or acquisition of brand, patents, etc. We also give guarantee facility to overseas. Sometimes they require raising working capital in local currency, but they require a credit enhancement. We give guarantee facilities for such requirements for the overseas ventures of Indian companies. Some of the examples where we have supported is aluminum rolling facility in US, a mid-sized company called Harsha Engineers, which acquired 100% equity stake of Johnson Metals in Romania. We have financed an auto component company from South India to invest in Morocco. We also supported Sterling Technologies to acquire a company, Impact Data Solutions in UK. Under R&D, which is again a niche program for Exim Bank. Exim Bank finances such kind of R&D expenses. Research foundations, institutes, SPs promoted by companies are eligible for financing. We finance both capital revenue expenditure in this program. Usually revenue expenditure would not be eligible, but for R&D, we treat them as a project and finance that. Loans can be extended in Indian rupees and US dollars. Usually we have seen interest in US dollars for this program. Repayment can be suitable structures. The export orientation is slightly higher compared to other programs. There is 10% here, and higher export orientation of 20% is normally stipulated. We have financed a company called MCure from Pune, where we have supported with the terminal 85 crores for the activities. We regularly support this company. We have also supported a company, Ion Exchange, for their R&D activities. Some of the other programs include export facilitation, where we finance development modernization of ports, airports, etc., which actually facilitate exports. There is no export directly, but which facilitate exports. We also have other financing programs like for export marketing. We also give financing for bulk import finance for import of bulk raw material for achieving economies of scale. All this can be given in multiple currencies and repayment can be structured based on the cash flows. Besides the traditional financing, Exim Bank also offers financing for micro enterprises for the grassroots initiatives, and also Exim Bank offers market advisory. See some of the examples where Exim Bank associated for grassroots initiatives and placed Indian products in overseas markets. Exim Bank on a regular basis does consular assignments for various institutions and has very strong institutional linkages with various partners across the globe. And some of the consular assignments done by India Exim Bank includes assignment for Commonwealth Secretariat, the formation of Commonwealth Small States Trade Finance Facility, for structuring a film financing program for Nigeria Exim Bank, conducting a pre-feasibility study for setting up a Commonwealth Trade and Development Bank, setting up equivalent of VCGC for GCC, and Exim Bank was also closely working with Afri Exim Bank when the concept was first mooted. We again, as I said, we have institutional relation with multiple institutions across the globe. Now let's look at what Exim Bank can offer for a company in Rajasthan. What is the traditional commercial credit, export credit to Indian companies, which I said EOU, PFP, R&D loan, etc. That's what I said. Second one. For the first one, the normal for a company in Rajasthan does a project export and they want fund based, non-fund based, based on eligibility of the project, we can look at. Second is the term loans. Third is that if there is a acceptable buyer in overseas, we can look at giving a buyer's credit to the overseas buyers of companies in your region. The fourth one is a new program which India Exim Bank has launched, Ubhrata Sitare, where we can consider debt, equity, and technical assistance. And the fifth one is the buyer's credit national expenditure account for project exports, but whereas the buyer is the government or a parastatal authority when the sovereign guarantee is available. And lines of credit, which is governed by Government of India scheme. We also have the CFS scheme. This is a very brief presentation. We'll be happy to take any questions during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. May I request all the participants to keep sending their questions to the speakers by typing them in the questions tab. We shall commence the Q&A session after some time. May I now request Shri P.R. Sharma, Joint Director Industries and CEO of Rajasthan Export Promotion Council, to address the participants on the framework for exports from Rajasthan. Over to you, sir.
Welcome to all in the long-awaiting webinar from Exim Bank. In fact, you have already indicated that we have an MOU with Exim Bank. The government of Rajasthan had an MOU with Exim Bank for preparing the export strategy of Rajasthan. And in fact, I would like to say that we have implemented almost all the recommendations made by Exim Bank in that export strategy. That the export potential of Rajasthan is very vast, and we are in process of developing the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, and two special investments have been notified, and third special investment region on the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway in Dausa is in process, and that has been notified in the budget. So there is a vast potentiality for exports in Rajasthan, and in fact I would like to request MD Sahab that there was a long back a demand of the entrepreneurs and the associations of Rajasthan that there should be a branch of Exim Bank in Jaipur. If it is possible and it is feasible, then I would also like to request to open a branch or to have an arrangement of Exim Bank connection with the entrepreneurs of Rajasthan. Secondly, under the ODOP program of Honorable Prime Minister, we have a significant position in India that we have formed all the district export potential surveys and district export action plans, and all the action plans have been duly approved by the district export promotion committees. So we have established district export promotion committees in all districts. State level, Rajasthan State Export Promotion Coordination Committee, Rajasthan Export Promotion Council, and our districts plans have been duly approved by the district level export promotion committees. Now we are in process of sending proposals to Government of India for implementation of district action plans, district export action plans, which were prepared by our districts. Again, I would like to request, under the district export hub scheme, the district export hub scheme is also being implemented very successfully in the state. And this program, we have already mentioned this program in our state level strategy, that we would request to Exim Bank to organize such webinar for promotion of exports from Rajasthan. And there was very huge demand that people want to know the schemes and programs of Exim Bank and how the Exim Bank can be helpful for the exporters of the state. So I think this webinar would be very beneficial for our exporters, and we would again like to request Your Honor to please connect with our exporters in such a way that they can avail the facilities and the schemes of Exim Bank of India. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. In fact, we are getting a couple of questions. We can start taking some questions now. Sir, it says that since Rajasthan has potential in several high-tech sectors like machinery and electrical equipment, are there any special incentives by the government of Rajasthan? Incentives for technology acquisition and R&D.
Sir, I would like to say, sir, that as per the compatibility of WTO agreements, we are still in process of finalizing the incentives for exports. Even we did not declare the scheme of freight subsidy, because we were told by the Ministry of Commerce that this should be in compatibility with the WTO agreement.
The question is from Mr. N.K. Jain from Rajasthan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He says that they are owners of steel rolling mill. They are asking what is the scope of export for this product, and how do we go ahead? Basically, for any kind of manufacturing product, what is the scope of exports, and as in how do they go ahead with it?
So in terms of financing or in terms of export potential? I thought export potential, I think Mr. Prahladan will be, cover. I think he'll be in a better position in terms of products.
Okay, see, in general, I will just address to some extent. See, in general, the steel rolling mill, they make billets which go into the mini steel plant for processing, further processing. So the requirement of the output of the steel rolling mill, which is billets, which go into mainly into the mini steel plant for manufacture of various steel products. So unless we can find out whether any neighboring states and neighboring countries are importing these steel billets, and then we can advise you accordingly, because since these are heavy items, the transportation cost will also be significant. These are not high value items. So considering the transportation cost, you may have to look at only the neighboring states, neighboring countries. So we will look into it. Which are the countries importing there? Kumar, you would like to add?
Yeah, sir. If you just want to add on, so can you, if we know a little more about what kind of products they manufacture and capacities, maybe we can guide. One is they can directly export, and there's a lot of people who like merchandise exporters who aggregate and export in terms of trading. We can do, but we need to know what grades, what products, and what capacities. Maybe we can understand and then guide them to the right people.
Sure, thank you, sir. One more question is coming about the from Mr. Shashi, asking about the potential for agro product exports from Rajasthan. So Prahlad sir, maybe you can address it.
Yeah. In fact, I have said during my presentation also, the state has significant potential in the agro processing, and especially the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor is also having a lot of agro processing units coming up there. And the mega food parks is also being promoted, and the state government should leverage such kind of central schemes and then set up these agro parks, which would cater to the value-added agro products or agro-processed items exports.
Kunal, if you may just add on, Westliner already having an existing company, or is venturing to this thing? Is he already present or going to be venturing?
So that has not been mentioned clearly. They have just asked about sharing of details of agro product export potential.
Okay. So one is like what Mr. Prahlad said. One is the export, possibilities from Rajasthan. They should look at what is the demand side from the other side. So what products are required, so that can be matched.
Okay, one question is coming, maybe again for Prahlad sir. Which are the potential sectors within Rajasthan that could be benefiting from central government's new PLI schemes?
So the PLI scheme has about 13 products manufacturing, which has been announced. But one is leveraging the central scheme, especially the PLI scheme. The PLI scheme is not region specific or location specific, and the investor need to be attracted towards Rajasthan to put up the plant. So you could invite all the 13 sectors, whosoever is interested to invest, you could invite to Rajasthan. In fact, I would suggest that Rajasthan, like Mr. Sharma was saying, that they are also looking at some of the WTO compatible incentive framework. They are thinking on those lines. Maybe a state level PLI on those 13 sectors, or some of these 13 sectors, if they could introduce, that would attract over other locations, because the investor has the option of going to Rajasthan or to any other state. So if Rajasthan is giving additional PLI to the existing PLI or the leveraging the central PLI, you could attract more investment into Rajasthan.
Thank you, sir. There's one more question from Mr. Dharmendra Johri, who is from Johri Industries Private Limited. He's saying that we are a leading export house of Indian natural stones like granite and other natural stones from Rajasthan. For establishing a processed house or factory, we want to know what incentives and subsidies we may get from the government.
This may be probably Mr. Sharma could give what kind of incentive framework is available.
Sir, I would like to explain that in Rajasthan, recently we have announced Rajasthan Investment Promotion Scheme. The investment promotion scheme covers all the incentives and subsidies for the investors. Even though we have identified some sectors as thrust sectors, and API, which is import substitution sector, is under the thrust sector, and under thrust sector we have special incentives for investments in Rajasthan. Again, under agriculture products, we have agro policy for exports, agri exports and agri business policy in Rajasthan, and that have also specialized incentives and subsidies for exporters, please? So anyone can Rajasthan Investment Promotion Scheme 2019.
Sorry, Sharma sir, and other members in the panel, please excuse, I need to attend another meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, DMT.
Sir, we have this one question which says, does Exim Bank have other similar studies for other states? So I would say yes, we do have other studies for other states as well, and maybe Prahladan sir can elaborate on this. Mr. Krishna Kumar is asking this question.
Okay. We have done about 9 states so far. The 9th state is the Karnataka, which we are yet to release. Otherwise, 8 state studies are already uploaded on our website and which could be downloaded freely after registering on our website.
These are the only questions that we have as of now. There will be some more questions coming.
Meantime, if you can just interact with Mr. Sharma. Sir, from Exim Bank, we have while we don't have an office in Rajasthan, we have traveled extensively Rajasthan. We have a few clients in Rajasthan. I personally traveled to Udaipur, Jaipur, etc. In fact, we were planned to visit Rajasthan first week of April, but because of COVID, we may slightly get delayed. We are likely to visit Rajasthan maybe end of April, sir. Like we will, take inputs from you to identify some places where we need to visit and meet some good companies. So we'll be in touch with you, sir. We'll take your contact details and visit some centers which has companies which looking for support for exports to various countries. So we'll be in touch with you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind cooperation. And in fact, for the exclusiveness of the Exim Bank, the associations are very keen to interact with you. So we would like to manage some programs in Udaipur, Jaipur, Jodhpur. Three major cities, and they have sound associations, and associations will manage these programs. And I would also like to request the RA of DGFT, and I requested them to join with me, but perhaps he is in other workshop. So the Joint Director General of Foreign Trade Jaipur would also be helpful for organizing such programs at Udaipur, Jodhpur and Jaipur, sir.
Okay, sir. We'll be happy to look at. And which associations are that Rajasthan association, which is you mentioned, sir?
Sorry, sir.
Which association you mentioned that they are available there to do this program?
Yes, these are Mewad Chamber of Commerce, Udaipur, and Jodhpur Industries Association. And in Rajasthan, there are several organizations: Rajasthan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Federation of Rajasthan Exporters, and Forex Federation of Rajasthan Handicraft Exporters. These are exclusively export-oriented organizations, sir.
Okay, we'll be happy to interact with them and look for opportunities to work with them to disseminate information of Exim Banks to companies in Rajasthan and support them on merits for their export initiatives.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Madam,
we now come to a close of this webinar. I request my colleague Ms. Janvi Singh, Chief Manager, India Exim Bank, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. As we come to the close of today's webinar on promoting exports from Rajasthan, it gives me immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the Export-Import Bank of India and the participants. I firstly express my gratitude to Srimati Archana Singh, who could not be with us today, but her support in organizing this webinar has been a great source of encouragement for us and bears testimony to the government of Rajasthan's commitment towards improving exports from the state. I also wish to thank Shri P.R. Sharma, Joint Director, Department of Industries, Government of Rajasthan, for closely engaging with us for organizing this webinar and also sharing his perspective on state exports with all the participants, especially on how Exim Bank and the state government can collaborate further. We look forward to greater engagement with the industries department, sir. I also take this opportunity to extend our sincere thanks to the august audience of representatives from industry for attending the webinar. We deeply value your active participation during the questions and answers session. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Mr. Sanjeev for being with us throughout. I would also like to thank the Exim Bank team for their hard work in putting this event together. We hope that the articulate presentations made by the India Exim Bank team will provide a new impetus for an all across the board engagement in the export sector and for realizing the vision of local for global. Once again, thank you all for your participation in today's webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, participants and speakers. The presentation will be shared with all the participants, and the
Yes,
recording of the webinar will be uploaded on our YouTube channel soon. We will end the session here. Thank you once again.